Nope, I am not on vacation, although it might seem that way. I am in the picturesque water town of Wuzhen, part of Jiaxing City in East China's Zhejiang province. Now, Jiaxing boasts a rich recorded history of over 2,500 years. Now, sitting on this beautiful traditional Chinese boat and surrounded by architecture from seemingly a bygone era, it might be hard to imagine that not far from where we are right now sits one of the world's most advanced factories. We're going to go see that factory in a second. I want to soak in the beauty of Wuzhen just a little bit more. But it's called a Lighthouse Factory. They are the trailblazers of manufacturing, harnessing Industry 4.0 technologies to transform production, optimize value chains, and redefine business models. Now, the Global Lighthouse Factory Network is an initiative co-founded by the World Economic Forum and McKinsey. By the end of 2023, there were 153 lighthouse factories globally. With 62 or 40% of them here, China has the most lighthouse factories in the world. Let's go check one out. We're here at LONGi Green Energy's Jiaxing production base, home to the world's first and only lighthouse factory in the photovoltaic industry. Now, as you can see, the roof of the factory is covered with solar panels. And as we're told, it has enough capacity to generate a projected 385 gigawatt of power over a span of 25 years. It's all part of the solar power for solar production mantra of LONGi. Hi, Wang. Hi there. Good to see you.
Hey, Michael. Great to see you. Welcome to our
Thank
company.
you so much for welcoming us here.
Thank you.
Let's have a look around, shall we?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Let's go.
Futuristic.
Yeah.
Welcoming screen.
So this is the showroom. Talk to us about the development of the solar industry here in China. Where has it gone from? Right? And how is solar leading the energy transition here in this country?
Well, the solar industry was not there 20 years ago. It's new. And our company is 24 years old.
Yeah.
So we started the company when the solar industry was barely existent.
Yeah.
But now about 300 to 400 gigawatts of installed capacity in China.
Yeah.
Total annual demand for new installation for the world is about 500 gigawatts.
Yeah.
For China is about 300 gigawatts. So in 1 year, I think China is going to install the new capacity that is almost the same size as historically the cumulative installed base.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been doubling the solar installed capacity in the past 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, how do you think about that achievement? Because China, this is still the world's largest developing economy, right? And yet it's able to become, I would say, a green leader in the world right now. I mean, how is it able to achieve that?
Well, it's driven by target. China has set the target of by 2030 we peak the carbon emission. By 2060 we're going to reach the net zero. And this is the shortest time frame any country has ever achieved, right? Or will be able to achieve in history. And it takes non-conventional measures. So renewable energy is one of the pillars to power that.
What kind of impact do you think that will have for the world, China's green transition, in terms of its own carbon neutrality journey?
China now accounts for about a quarter of total carbon emission of the world. So if we can decarbonize the economy by 2060, that takes out a quarter of the carbon that's going to the atmosphere now. At the same time, we account for 90% of solar capacity or solar PV capacity for the world. And about half of our production every year from China goes to other countries, go outside of China. So we build the technology, we provide the product and service that enables other countries to decarbonize. Similar things for other clean tech.
To meet China's ambitious dual carbon target, accelerated and strengthened energy transition measures are expected to be implemented by Beijing.
我觉得干现在一个非常重要的。
A critical aspect now is to expedite the market-oriented reform of the power system to enable large-scale adoption of renewable energy and create a favorable market environment. The country should establish a carbon pricing system to support extensive social participation and investment in low-carbon technologies. The national carbon market, launched in 2021, currently covers only the power generation industry. The top priority now is to expand this coverage to high-energy consuming industries such as steel, cement, and chemicals, thereby improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the carbon market.
提升它的这个碳市场的这市场的效率和效益。
China has made wind power and PV products more affordable and accessible to nearly 200 countries and regions around the world, exporting nearly 300 billion worth of these products so far and fast-tracking the global green transition. According to a report by the International Renewable Energy Agency, global wind and PV power generation costs have decreased by over 60% and 80% respectively in the past decade, thanks largely in part to Chinese innovation, manufacturing, and engineering.
新能源产业产能过剩的问题。
I believe the issue of overcapacity in the new energy industry is a misconception. It does not align with the objective laws of economic development. Many countries, especially developing ones, currently lack access to low-cost new energy technology. China's advanced new energy technology provides an ideal solution for them. In the future, both China and developing countries will see a significant demand for new energy, so overcapacity is not a concern. In fact, global production capacity for new energy will continue to expand. China's photovoltaic and wind turbine industries will have great development opportunities ahead. Additionally, production capacity doesn't need to be entirely based in China. Investments can also be made in other countries.
落在了中国，也可以到这些其他国家进行投资。
What I'm watching isn't just PV panel production, it's more like printing money. And this is real cash. Let me explain why. From here on out, these solar panels will continuously generate energy and economic returns for the next 25 to 30 years. Now, on average, it takes just 16 to 18 seconds to produce one of these solar panels at the Lighthouse Factory. Each one of these solar panels is 2.58 square meters large and can generate over half a kilowatt of power per hour.
You see that demand or the need of your customer is differentiating, right?
So
Right.
that's how you're thinking about innovation right
So
now.
we're
It's-
thinking about innovation at multiple dimensions.
Right, not just about
Not just
efficiency, anymore.
Particularly in the distributed power generation market. You see that in people's home, you see that in parking area, and you see that on your factory. All of those are different,
Yeah.
right? And we truly believe that the solar product need to be tailored for the different scenarios where they are used,
Yeah.
and not just as an industrial product.
Yeah.
This is the array of our current product range.
Yeah.
So this is a double-sided solar panel that we provide typically for utility scaled power generation.
Okay. So much larger scale.
So it's
Solar
large
panel.
scale, it's mounted on the ground
Yeah.
more often than not. As opposed to this one here, this is you can see the smaller sized panel that we provide to what we call distributed power generation for rooftop
Yeah.
installation.
Yeah.
For the rooftop of factories and office building, and also for residential,
Yeah.
for people's home. And this one is particularly designed for residential market,
Yeah.
for the aesthetics-oriented customers.
Yeah, because you don't see that wiring, I guess.
So there
In
is
the front,
no wiring. You have this obsidian kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Right? So we call it ultra black.
Yeah.
So when it's up there on the roof,
Yeah.
you feel that it integrates with the looks of your building really well.
Yeah.
Right. For architects, they would think that something like this, it looks like a piece of furniture.
Yeah.
Right.
Do lighthouse factories, I'm sure that fit into the innovation plan. What's special about Longyi's Lighthouse Factory?
Motivation for us to do this, part of it is we believe that automation, big data, digital, the cross-section of a few technology trends are going to fundamentally change how we manufacture. So that's more the underlying motivation.
Yeah.
But then at a more business level, we're thinking about a few things. One is, as we talked about, the customer needs are becoming more differentiated. The manufacturing facility and the capability need to support that.
Yeah.
The orders are going to come in smaller batches and in different forms, and the customers are going to demand a faster response rate, so the quality need to be robust, right? And the only way to achieve that is not by asking your workers to work harder, right? It's actually using technology and digital to actually make some fundamental change to how we manufacture.
Yeah.
So that's one of the motivations.
Sitting here makes me feel like I'm in control of everything. And guess what? I truly can. So this is how investing in digital transformation pays off. With Longyi's smart production system, everything is under control. These screens, they form the nerve center, the brain of the Lighthouse Factory. It displays everything from production efficiency to potential risk points to workforce management and much more. Now, through these screens, one can monitor the entire production process in real time, and if risks do pop up, it can also provide solutions on the spot. So it's really like having command of the entire factory at your fingertips.
The other motivation behind it is we realize that as we grow, there will be need for us to build more factories.
Yeah.
And we have this notion of factory as a product. For example, if we set up a factory with our partner in the US, it's not possible for us to send 500 people to the US to do it, right? So you have to have a well-packaged system that define your factory, and we can provide factory as a product to our partners everywhere around the world. That the operational results improved dramatically. Like energy consumption is down 20%, and our throughput is increased 80%.
Wow.
You know, with technology, with harnessing the power of data, I think our defect rate were down dramatically. We use less effort to raise the quality standard of our products. With automation, you have less waste. Right? You waste less of your materials, and you have less power consumption. You use less manpower, and by the way, the labor cost doesn't necessarily go down because you actually ask people to do more skillful jobs, and you pay them more. So the purpose is not to get rid of human in the manufacturing process. The purpose is actually to make the manufacturing process more intelligent. It's like you using ChatGPT, right? So you know, we're not getting rid of you, right? We're just using ChatGPT to make you more powerful, right? So that's the idea. You know, we want to use automation to make our manufacturing world class. And we're able to package that and move it to where that's needed.
China has poured over $50 billion in new PV supply capacity, 10 times more than Europe. This investment has led to the creation of over 300,000 manufacturing jobs across the solar PV value chain since 2011. Meanwhile, China's PV industry is undergoing a phase of consolidation. Those billion-dollar giants, along with many ambitious medium-sized players, are entering a period of market adjustment. Longyi's Haimeng expects a new balance to be restored by the second half of this year.
The industry has not experienced really anything like this at this scale, right? The industry, if you remember, it was much smaller a few years ago. Even the largest ones were like 10 billion RMB or something. But now the big ones are all above 100 billion RMB, right? And you have a large number of medium-sized players that are also quite ambitious, right? We see some new policy coming out, some policy nudging and the market start to clear, we're hoping that the new balance can be restored second half of this year.
Second half of this year. So we are going through a phase of industry consolidation, you would say.
From the demand side, you need to have some fundamental support for the demand. It is a growing industry for sure, but we also realize that the capacity for the grid to take on more solar power is also strained. Maybe there should be more investment to the grid to absorb more renewable. Maybe there should be more investment to energy storage.
How would you, I guess, assess China's contribution to solar technologies advancement and the cost reduction?
So if you say, how much electricity does it take to produce per watt of solar PV capacity? Now the current technology, it takes 4.2 kilowatt hour to produce per watt of solar PV capacity. And over the lifetime of that watt of solar PV, it can generate 43 kilowatt hour, give and take. So it's 10x, right? It's 10x the power that it consumes to produce that product, and versus the lifetime power generation from that product. So the case is pretty compelling. And now with 90% of the solar PV capacity concentrated in China, that 4.2 kilowatt hour is all coming from China, right? So it's counted as part of China's energy consumption. It's also counted as part of China's carbon emission. We don't want to think as a victim, right? We like to think about it as, look, China is very good on anything that requires a lot of engineering. And with that, we were able to bring the cost of solar PV down by a factor of 10 and continue to decline. We are happy to say, look, if other countries think that they also need to share a bit of that pie, and we say, look, we can do the production in the US, we can do in the Middle East, in Europe, to the extent that it's economically viable. The good thing about having that global partnership is you actually can leverage the strength in different areas of the world.
How do you think about the future of LONGi? So you've made a bet on a technology called back contact.
The bottleneck of renewable energy application is no longer the cost of solar PV, right? You can further decline the cost of solar PV, right? But it's not the bottleneck anymore, right? The bottleneck is how much of that can you connect to the grid and can you consume and can you actually put it to more applications? So that's why we invested into what we call the green molecules, right? Hydrogen to begin with, because we see new S-curve, right? So those technologies are at an early stage of that S-curve, right? It's still pretty flat, but when it reaches the tipping point, it goes up, right? Like a hockey stick, right? And will be years before it can flat again, right? So we do see that potential. We have gone through the solar process, so we know what it feels like as you go through a technology S-curve. We actually invest anywhere between 5 to 10% of our revenue in a normal year. Not all of our investments on innovation are successful, so we understand that. But in order for us to be part of that bigger dream, we have to keep up the commitment to R&D and innovation. That's the kind of push we're committed to.
Aimon, thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
thank you, Michael.
so much. Considering that the per capita electricity consumption in China is around 5 kilowatts, it's going to take around 8 to 10 of those solar panels to meet a family's electricity needs for a day. In many areas of China, a grid-connected power generation model is used to feed solar power into the main grid. When there's a surplus of solar power generated at home, the excess is transferred to the grid, allowing people to earn additional income by selling electricity. So at this point, the entire production process is complete. We've got 36 solar panels in one of these boxes, so 72 in total. And ready to ship the power of the sun to over 150 countries and regions around the world. I am surrounded by what you can call the world's most energetic horse. This solar steed galloping in the Kubuqi Desert here in the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region is constructed with nearly 200,000 solar panels and is 196 soccer fields large. This solar steed, impressive as it is only part of an even larger solar farm that's able to provide clean electricity to over 300,000 people annually. So this is one of the biggest solar farms that I've ever seen, a sea of solar panels as far as the eye can see. So Mr. Lee, what's the future outlook, the future planning looking like for this solar project?
目前呢，我们全期已经建成的这个新能源项目呢。
Currently, the new energy projects in Dallas Banner have reached over 3 gigawatts. By the end of 2025, we plan to add another 16 gigawatts of new energy capacity. This green electricity will be continuously transmitted hundreds of kilometers away to cities via 800 kilovolts and 1,000 kilowatts ultra-high voltage power lines. By around 2030, the total power generation capacity of all new energy projects will reach 40 billion kilowatt hours. At that time, 1 out of every 3 lights in the Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei region will be powered by electricity generated here.
京津冀地区每3盏灯里边就有我们达起，就有1盏是我们达起给点亮的。
The solar farm is but one of 5 that stretches across the western part of Inner Mongolia. It forms part of what's called the solar panel Great Wall. Currently under construction, this 21st century Great Wall of clean electricity is planned to stretch 400 kilometers long and average 5 kilometers wide. I mean, this already is a massive solar farm and solar project, but this is only one part of a massive solar panel Great Wall. Talk to us more about that.
我们呢计划用3年时间打造一条光伏长城。这个光伏长城的
We plan to spend 3 years building a great wall of clean electricity along the northern edge of the Kubuqi Desert. Additionally, protective forest belts on the northern side of the solar area will form 2 barriers, effectively blocking wind and sand erosion to help safeguard the Yellow River. Once completed, the project will contribute to ecological management of 8 million acres of desert and PV management of 3 million acres, while supporting 10 gigawatts of new energy capacity.
同时呢可以满足1亿千瓦时的这个装机容量。
Around 7 to 8 kilometers from where we are right now flows China's second longest river, the Yellow River. Now, besides providing clean energy, this vast array of solar panels serve as a first line of defense against the desert sand from blowing into the Yellow River, thereby better protecting water quality and the communities that rely on it. The solar panels play an absolutely crucial role in combating desertification, as the shade from the solar panels allows vegetation to grow beneath it. So from this one control center, you can monitor the operations of 5 solar plants. So talk to us about how you maintain the safe daily operations of such a large-scale endeavor.
我们现在所属的大拉特其远程疾控中心呢， At the Banner Remote Control Center, we oversee 5 power stations, including both solar and wind plants. Here, we can remotely monitor and maintain their operations. When a fault occurs, the system provides a warning, allowing us to coordinate with on-site maintenance personnel who carry out the necessary repairs.
So how long does it take to fix one of the problems at the solar plant?
The time required to fix issues can vary depending on the type of fault. For more common faults, the repair time is typically around half an hour.
Here in Erdos, one challenge for the land is something called the coal mining subsistence issue, which is land that is sunk in a little bit because coal has been extracted from underneath. However, the installation of solar panels has breathed new life into a rather inhospitable terrain. That's because the shade provided by the solar panels creates this microclimate underneath, better locking in the soil moisture from evaporation by sunlight. So, Mr. Ao, this is not just about sending electricity over 1,000 kilometers away. You're also supporting the local community as well with what's called the agrivoltaics industry. So it's about combining solar power with agricultural activities. As you can see behind me, we have a flock of sheep here as well, which can graze on the grass provided by the shade from the solar panels. Talk to us more about how you're developing the agrivoltaics industry here.
我们施工过程中呢，尽量保持原始地貌不被破坏。
During our construction process, we strive to preserve the original landscape as much as possible. Depending on the soil conditions, we introduce more resilient grasses and medicinal plants for cultivation. Under the solar panels, we integrate grazing and agriculture to boost economic benefits.
Mr. Ao, I feel like this project really embodies a nice example of traditional energy transitioning to new energy sources. So you've built this massive solar farm on coal subsistence land. Talk to us more about this project.
我们这个项目呢，现在是装机容量是1000兆瓦。
This power station has an installed capacity of 1,000 megawatts, generating a total of 1.85 billion kilowatt-hours annually, which is enough to power approximately 700,000 households. Compared to traditional coal-fired power, this PV plant saves around 5,600,000 tons of coal and reduces carbon dioxide emission by about 1.22 million tons each year.
用电的地方，然后我们把这个电通过远距离输送消耗掉。
This 1 gigawatt solar power project is now connected to the ultra-high voltage grid, meaning electricity can be transmitted across a very long distance. Here, traditional and new energy sources work hand in hand. During the daytime, solar panels generate power, whereas during the nighttime, the traditional thermal power plant takes over, ensuring a smooth flow of electricity throughout the day. So, Mr. Ao, the Inner Mongolia Energy Group used to be a coal-dominant energy group, but things are quite different now, from what I understand. Talk to us about how the group made this transition from traditional energy to now new energy.
内蒙古能源集团呢，以前是一个以火力发电为主体的能源。
Inner Mongolia Energy Group used to be a traditional coal-fired power company, with over 90% of its total installed capacity coming from coal-fired power and only about 5 to 7% from renewable energy. Through 2 years of energy transition, the installed capacity of new energy projects under construction and already in operation now accounts for more than 70% of our total capacity. Our future goal is to further advance the development of a larger modern energy enterprise, primarily based on renewable energy.
现代化的一个以新能源为主体的新型现代能源集团，去努力去奋斗。